Hey guys, welcome back to Resin Belle. Today we're going to be making Christmas ornaments out of fabric. We found this fabric at Joann's and it has all these cool little circles on it, and you can get that right now. It hasn't been very long since I bought that. And I think I paid like around $4 for a third of a yard, and you can see that I still have tons of this fabric. And anyway, so I was able to create some really cute ornaments putting the fabric in resin. So I used epoxy resin and UV resin, and I will show you my process here in just a minute. Make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button, and let's get started. Okay, so kind of before you start, you need to make sure you have a silicone mat down, and you want to make sure that it's completely clean. So go ahead and wipe it down with a baby wipe. You know, use some tape to remove any kind of dried resins or glitter, and make sure there's nothing underneath your mat that can cause ripples, because if the mat's not completely smooth, that's going to transfer over into your piece. So also, if there's anything stuck to your mat, once the resin in this cures, it's just going to peel right up and it's going to be on the back of your resin. So yeah, clean up, use some alcohol, spray down and wipe it up, and make sure everything is cleaned off there. We're going to lay this flat and we're going to mix up some of our artist resin. Okay, so I've got my resin mixed up, and I went ahead and mixed up about 100 milliliters. This is kind of a terry material. It's like a t-shirt material. Alright, so I'm just going to pour this over the top. Okay, so this has been sitting since this morning, and it is now nighttime, so it's about 8 hours. And it is to the point where it is still, like if it was just sitting in a mold, I could leave fingerprints in it. It's to that point, but like I could touch it and I don't get any resin on my hands. So it's kind of cured, but it's still in that really soft stage. So while it's in this stage, I'm going to go ahead and peel this off of my silicone mat, and I'm just going to sit it back down because there were some bubbles that I couldn't get out. So I'm just rubbing that back down, and there's no bubbles under it. It's nice and flat. So I'm going to leave this until in the morning, and then we'll come back to it. Alright, so as you can see, I got quite a few different pieces out of that one small piece of fabric, and these are still slightly pliable. You have to put a little pressure on them to bend, so they're a little more stable than they were last night. The next thing we're going to do after I've got all of them cut out is we're going to do a top coat and kind of dome it almost, and that'll give it some really good stability to make ornaments out of these. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half or so. The fast set, the fast set epoxy resin from CCDIY. It does set up pretty quickly. As you can see, it's just a very lightly domed here, and it's still a little flexible at this point, so I think it's ready for its final coat. Okay guys, so I've been kind of playing around with these, and this is the ones with the 2 coats of epoxy resin, the artist resin and the 2-hour quick coat, quick fast cure resin. And I've been kind of like, and they're still, you know, a little bit pliable at this stage. I mean, they're pretty tough. You gotta apply some pressure to get them to bend. But the larger they are, the easier they are to bend. And maybe these got a little bit less epoxy the second time. But anyway, I've been playing with them and trying to figure out how to make them nice and thick. And I kind of think I went with UV resin and have been kind of playing around with that, and also adding some elements. So this is the one with Sally with the tombstone. So I just added a couple more tombstones on there when I put my UV resin on, and kind of added up, layered up that way. And I also did this little Sally here, which I will be turning into a key fob. So she's nice and sturdy now too. So pretty cool. They almost look like clay in a way, which is kind of very cool. So I'll show you how I did that. So I just took one of these and I put down some sticky tape and then taped around it, so the sticky side is up and the edges are stuck down. This keeps this, once these start heating up under the UV light, they tend to curl with the grain of the fabric, so be aware of that. And I just put them down on that sticky tape, and then I'm taking the white UV resin from Counterculture DIY, and I'm just doing a fairly thin coat on the back. Actually, here, let's go ahead and do 2 of these at the same time. Let's go ahead and do both. Stick those down, and we'll stick these guys down. I'm just sticking them down pretty good. This is just painter's tape. And then we'll go ahead and add some white to these guys. And you could always just add some white, you know, or any color, honestly, any color of resin that you want to put on the back of these. You could use epoxy resin. You know, I just thought this would be faster, and I just wanted to try it and see if it would work, and it does work. And so, yeah, you can pretty much, I don't know, if you want to start with UV resin from the beginning and see how that works and just kind of work it into the fabric. I haven't tried that, but you know, if you do try that, please let us know how it works out in the comments below for sure. And just getting it right up to the edges, but not pushing it off. Then we can cure. Alright, so once those have cured for a couple of minutes, you want them to be cured to the point where they are no longer leaving fingerprints. So these need just a couple minutes more. I'm just going to peel those up, and I'm going to turn them over and stick them back down. Stretching that tape back out flat from peeling it up, it kind of stretched out a little bit, so just making sure it's nice and tight down there. And now we're just going to put some clear on. Okay, so what I have figured out is that so your first step is to put the epoxy resin on the fabric and then let that cure. And I think that's a very important step. So after that's done, you can cut out your pieces, and they kind of look like this because the epoxy has soaked to the bottom. There's some little air bubbles no matter how much you try to get them out. So this is what you got with your first step. So instead of going to the next step and trying to dome it, after you've cut them out, just skip that doming step and go to placing those thin pieces on tape. That will keep them from curling. You can put your background color on, cure it, your UV resin, then flip it over and do your front dome. And that will just give you, skip that extra step, and I think that will look really cool, and it will keep those pieces from curling up from the grain of the fabric. So you can kind of see how it kind of warps a little bit. Once you do that doming, it's there. I mean, you can't really unwarp it. So but you know, at this stage it's still kind of pliable, and when you stick it down to that tape, that will keep it from warping, and then you'll get a nice flat surface. So yeah, I think these turned out super cool, and I love all the different things you could do with these. So I mean, you can make ornaments, you could make bag tags, you could make keychains, add some beads and stuff. These are basically just like giant charms. So you can make bracelets, bracelet charms. You know, take some and put some a magnet on the back. You can make a set of magnets that way. You could add it to, you know, wood pieces, or, you know, anything you want really, and get that really cool effect. Use it as a background for something. So lots of fun trying that out, and we've got some cool new ornaments for our Nightmare Before Christmas tree. Look how cute they are. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. And then you can layer them up with some of those charms that you made, add some ribbon, and you've got yourself some really cool, unique little ornaments. So lots of, you know, lots of ideas on ways you can use that, you know, depending on what kind of fabric you choose, and the sky's the limit on that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to see any of the links for the products I used in this video, check my description box. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.